Hello techies. Before we get going with the video, let's discuss about Upptalk a little bit first. Upptalk is a live, interactive platform for software training, furnishing robust personalities who could take on universal business platforms. Let us get to the topic without any further ado. In this tutorial video, we will discuss Ginger Automation. So what is Ginger Automation? Ginger Automation is an artificial intelligence-powered software that assists businesses in automating their workflows and processes. It understands user intent and automates tasks based on natural language processing, NLP. Here are the topics that we'll cover in this video. Creating business flow variables. What is the XPath and the different types of XPaths? Absolute XPath and relative XPath. Writing XPath and rules of writing XPath. Please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel to be alerted whenever a new video is uploaded. Pratik will go through the topics discussed in this video in depth. Let's get right to the topic.
So after adding the business flow, so we will be able to see three tabs: details and activities and variables. So when we add the variables from this section, so these are the business flow variables. Okay. So the scope of these these variables are for this business flow only. Scenario 1 business flow, we can access these variables. So what is the naming culture? So what is the name starting with the business flow? So what extension we need to start? So for business flow variables, we always keep the name as the BM, where we can easily understand the which variable that. Okay. So let me edit this. Slow. This is username. Okay. Then again, add one more business flow variable, the string. Business flow, password. Okay. So how to add the activity variables? So these are the business flow variables. So when we click, when we select the business flow, on that time, so we see the variable tab. So from here, if we add, these are the business flow variable. The scope of these variables is for this business flow only. So outside this business flow, we cannot access these variables. Okay. So then activity variables. So when we come into the automate tab, so after that we are adding the activities. So when I select the activity, after selecting the activity, I am able to see the variable tab here. Okay. So from here we can add the activity variables. So for activity variables, so what is the naming culture we can give here? For activity variables, ACT, act. Okay. And we can add one more variable. ACT underscore phone number. And save. And how to add the global variables? Under resource tab, we have the global variable section. So from here we can add the global variable. for global variable extension is underscore URL, or we can keep the common variables which can be used across the solutions. So we can use username, save, and add one more variable, gbl underscore password. Okay. Can you guys try these three types of variables? So can you please add the two variables for each? So for business flow variable and activity variable and global variable, we have a three levels of variables. So for three levels, we have a scope of these variables are global variables is we can access across the solution. The business flow variable is only for that particular business flow. We cannot access outside that business flow. Then activity variable is only the scope is for that particular activity. We cannot access outside that activity. Okay. So please try to create the two variables for each. So let me show you again. Go back to the business flow tab. So select the business flow. So once you select the business flow, you will be able to see this variables section. So under that variable section, just click on the plus button. So once you click on the plus button, so you will see the different type of variables like date, time, dynamic, list, number, string, random number, and password string, random string. Okay, just add the string variables here. So we will go through these different types of variables in going forward. You will be able to see the uses of these variables. So for now, you can add a string variable. Okay, so once you add the business flow variables, just double click, select the activity. Once you select the activity, you will be able to see the variables here under activity. So just click on the plus button. So after clicking the plus button, the variable window will appear, and here select the variable type. Okay, so this is for activity variable. The same way for global variables, go to the resource tab and select the global variable tab, and under global variable we can see the plus button. Just click on the plus and add the variables. Okay, so what we will do now, so let's try one more scenario, so which is for add customers. Okay, so add customers. So let's create another business flow, yeah, another activity under the same business flow. For adding the activity, on automate tab, so click on the activity button, plus button. So you will be able to see this window for adding the new activity, and click next. So select the regular, not a error handler. So after selecting the business flow, just go to the automate, and under automate, so we have a plus button here. So just click on the plus button and click the next to add the activities, the regular activity, and give the activity name. Add customer. and run description. If you have any specific instructions to run this activity, you can put over here description, run description, and all the expected results, what you are expecting in this test case. So that detail you can put over here. And target application will be the my web app. Then run actions, run options. So these actions, we have it two options here. So one is a continue actions, run on failure, stop actions, run on failure. So if any actions in this activity that got failed, so on that time, so it will stop the execution. So if you select the stop actions, run on failures, if any actions failed, the execution will get stopped. So if you choose the continue actions, run on failure, so it doesn't matter if any access got failed in the activity, it will start running the other actions. Okay, so as of now, select the stop actions, run on failure, error handling mapper. So just keep this is a default one. So we will cover this part when we explain you the error handling part. And this is automation status. You can keep as a development, still you are developing phase. So once your development is complete, you can change it as a automated. Okay. So then finish. Your activities added successfully. Okay. The same steps just you need to follow for redirecting to the URL, add the legacy, go to URL action. Rename this. Launch demo site. Let me copy the URL. The URL, then save. After that, let me add the generic actions. So till this phase is completed, right? So the first thing is we are doing the same thing. So until step 3, okay. So I can reuse these steps in my next activity. So how I can reuse the multiple actions in the activity? So just select the actions. Instead of creating again the adding the new actions, just copy the common repeated actions which are common for another activity. So just select, press the control, select the actions. I have selected 3 actions which I want to copy, and another thing, another action which I want to reuse, and close browser instance. I have copied 4 actions from the first activity, handle browser alert. Okay. So please select the 4 actions from the first activity. Then click on the 3 dots options here. So select the 4 actions and copy those actions. Click on the 3 dots, and copy selected items. Only selected items, not all. Third one.
Yep.
Copy selected items. And go to the second activity. So let me delete this. It is not required now. So and click on the 3 dots and go to the clipboard and paste. Okay. Once you are copied the actions from activity 1 to activity 2, just cross verify whether those actions are in sequence or not. Just if those are not in a sequence way, just make sure that to move the actions based on that your sequence. So first I need is launch the demo site, and after that I want to click on the telecom project. Then I want to click on the add customer. Okay. After that, I don't want to close the browser because I want to put the some information to adding the customers. So for that, what I will do, I will disable this action for now. So once my automation is completed, once my this flow is automated fully, so then I will make it as a enabled to make this action to run. I will just repeat the same step again. So just go to the first activity, select the actions which you want to copy, select the first, second, third, and last one. Eighth, first, second, third, and eighth action. Select these and click on three dots on the top and go to the clipboard and copy the only selected items. Once you copied, go to the second activity and click on the three dots and just paste over here. Once you paste the all the selected actions, make sure that all these actions are in sequence. First action should be launch the demo site. Second action should be click on hyperlink telecom project. And third action should be click on hyperlink add customers. Okay, let me run this. Let's see. Okay, I am able to launch the site and able to click on the telecom project and able to click on the add customer hyperlink. This phase is open for me and browser is not closed because my browser close action is disabled. It is a not active. Okay. So please complete these steps in your machine. Okay. Let me identify, right click and inspect, then spy, select the elements for radio button, then for first name, what we have, first name, we have ID, value, name. So you can pick anything, ID or name. So for second, for last name, I am picking the ID again. For email, take the ID. For address, for phone number, then submit also we have. So we don't require to identify for this submit. For XPath, for this done button, done radio button. So for the XPath part, so we will be covering in detail how to create the relative XPath, how to create the absolute XPath. So we will be taking this the session, detailed session on that XPath part. Okay. Okay, so I hope you have identified the elements. So if you are not, so just identify the objects for this phase. So let me add the actions for performing the operations. So select the generic element. Okay. Take it to off. Okay. For this, select the ID. First name I am putting. For ID first name I have identified already. This is the text box. This is the text. Select the text and set the value. Text box and set text. So you can put a first name ABC, or you can put any name. Test first name. Okay. Rename the action. You can keep the action as a fill first name, or you can keep it as a set first name, whatever you want. Okay. So for next step, just you need to copy this same action. So since we have identified total 4 objects, and for 4 we have ID type. Locator type is the ID. So we just need to replace these names, values. So what I will do, I will just copy, then I will paste. Again I will paste 4 times. Okay. My first name is completed. Second is my last name. So just rename this last name, then change the value. Last name. Okay. The same way, rename the sixth one. Sixth one is for entering the email ID. Locate value needs to be changed, and then value that needs to be changed. Test gmail.com. You can put a dummy email ID, not required to put your email ID. Okay. For testing purpose, we can put a dummy email ID here and rename the action email ID. Then same thing, change the seventh action. For seventh action, we have a message. I think for this we need to fill a address. So you can fill address details, change the operation types of operation settings, change the locate value message, and give the address anything. So just dummy I am giving test. Save. Okay. So first name, last name, email ID, and address. What else? And phone number. So for phone number also we have the same ID. So just copy one more action and paste. Replace the telephone. Locate value is the telephone, and put phone number 1 2 3 4 5 6 10. This is my phone number. Okay. Let me rename this action. Phone number detail. First name, last name, email ID, address, and phone number. And one more thing I missed is that the radio button, which I need to select background check. Okay, let me add. Okay, so after completing these steps, we need to select the radio button. For radio button, we have a one action. So under these legacy actions, we have a checkbox section. For selecting the radio button and checkbox, we need to use this section. Under legacy actions, we have a third action. We need to add this one. Okay. So it is added in the end of this all the actions. So if you want, you can move it to the up by using these arrow keys. Okay. So let me rename this. Select your button. Then operation type is, I have pinged you the X path already. In chat box, select the X path. Locate by should be X path and just paste the value and select the element type is the checkbox and element action is the click. Please complete this step. For this action, we need to add the actions from the legacy actions section. Under legacy actions, we have a third one, checkbox action. Then just run and see. Let me run this. So when we select the stop while running, so while creating itself, we have selected a one thing which is like stopping the stop the flow on failures. So this what it will do. So whenever we face the failures in the actions, so for other actions will getting blocked. So when this action is failed, then second action is not executed, it got blocked. So if you run this only individually, this will run success. Okay, this is passing, but before that we got a one failure in the action. So that's the reason this one is not executed successfully. This got blocked. Okay, the phone number is I'm phone number is success. So just try to run this action individually. From here also you can run, from here also. So we have a two options. One is a run current action, and here also we have run actions. Okay. So the second thing which I wanted to show you. So just go to the details tab, select the actions, select the activity, then go to the details. There is one option, run options, actions, run options. So instead of stop, you just change this to continue actions run on failures. This drop down. Select the add customer and details and change this drop down. Continue actions run on failure. Then try to rerun the same activity. So close this and run activity. Okay, the execution is completed. So we can see here the difference. This we got a one failure, but that other for other actions is not blocked, and the next action is passed. The control will not stop executing the actions even though if we got the failures. Okay, That is the one main key difference for that the drop down, which where we need to where we can use the continue action on failure and stop action on failure. So while debugging, so if you developed one activity which are having thousands of actions in that, so if you got a failures in the one action, so that anyway that action will appear in the report, including the screenshot. So if you want to continue the uh, further steps, so you can select the continue actions on failure. So if you try to fix that failure, so on that time, so we need to use a one more technique here. There is a breakpoint. So we have a one option here. After clicking three dots, so we have a one breakpoint. So you need to just double click, just enable that breakpoint on this failure, or else you can put a breakpoint on before that action. Before executing this action, your breakpoint, you can put a breakpoint on just above that action. You can remove this. So why I am putting breakpoint here is that, so I want to stop my control before going to the failures. So I will identify the failures, I will fix the failure, then I will continue my execution by using the continue button. The breakpoint is main purpose of breakpoint is to stopping our control to fix the issues. Okay. So once we
Okay.
fix the issues, we can continue our execution. Okay. So let me run again activity. Okay. So here my control is not running. So till this action, it ran successfully and my control is stopped from here. Why? Because I have put the breakpoint on this action. So I will identify why the what is the issue with this address action. So go to this, cross verify the X path. ID is correct, name is correct. Then take the name. So change the X path ID to name and put address. Then try running this action over here itself to test whether this is working perfectly or not by using the different locate values. This is success now. Okay. So just change your locate element, locate by name, and put the locate value as an address. Then run test. Your issue is fixed. Then come back and save. Then remove the breakpoint. Remove the breakpoint. Then continue from this action. Okay. So not again, I am not going to run the whole activity. I want to continue from from this action. For that, I will use the continue run from the activity or continue run from the actions. So if the one activity failed, so suppose I have a 10 activities. So under 10, so the 5 is passed and sixth one is failed. So from sixth one, if I want to continue the execution, then I can use this continue button, that continue run from the selected activity. So if I want to continue the execution from the action, then I have a one more button here. So this is continue run from the action. So this is for running the action. This is for continue run flow the from this action. Just click on this run. Now it is success. I will repeat one more time. So put the breakpoint on your fifth, seventh action. So for putting a breakpoint, click on the three dots. After three dots, we have a breakpoint option here. Just enable this one. Once you enable this, the symbol which will highlight red in a red color. So it means the breakpoint is placed on this action. So when you try to run the action, when you try to run the activity, this will run till sixth. The control will execute all the actions till sixth, and the seventh it will stop executing. The control will stop here because the breakpoint is placed. So then you need to check your issue, the actual issue, what is the reason for failure, and fix that issue. Then continue the execution from here. So for continuing the execution from this action, you need to remove the breakpoint. So how you can remove this breakpoint? To click on the three dot button. So and just disable this breakpoint. This red highlighted symbol will disappear.
Okay.
Okay. So for running the flows, we have a three different ways. One is run flow and run activity and run action. The run actions, this is the run action which we are particularly running on that single action, not
Okay.
on multiple actions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when I run the activity, run activity, it will run the single activity in multiple actions. Whatever the actions we have added in this activity, the all actions will run for this activity only. This is
Mm-hmm.
for activity run. This is for flow, run flow. This is the end-to-end flow for particular business flow. So under business flow, how many activities we have added for all activities? So we can run from the run flow. This is the end-to-end test. This is the only activity test. This is
Mm-hmm.
action test, we can say.
Okay.
The same way, so we have this continue button for activity. Okay, for activity, so suppose I have a three activities here. The first one is passed, the second one is failed. So I want to continue the execution from second activity. On that time I will use this continue button. If you want to perform the action level, the action level continue button is provided here. So then submit. We just need to click on the submit button. So for submit, we have already here. Click on submit button. So I will copy this submit button, submit, copy this action. So from first activity, so we have fourth action. Just I am copying this action and putting here. Okay, just paste over here. copy the submit button and paste that button in the second activity, the lost. And once you paste it here, just enable the close browser. This is the close browser. Just copy the submit button from activity 1 and keep that in the just before of closing the browser instance. Okay. Then close this, then try to run the activity. It is success. Okay, so this is the message when once we fill the form and we submit the button, the customer ID will get generated. So for this, we need to fetch this ID and store this in some variable. Okay, so you have already created the variables, right? So business flow variable, global variable, and activity variable. There is a one variable we have created, that is a customer ID. Do you remember that? So where we have created that? Okay, the customer ID we have created in this activity. Let me copy this variable and paste over in the second activity. Okay, I will use this variable to store the values. Okay, so how to do that? So let's try. So use the same action, that is a generic element action. Okay, this one, go down. So keep this generic element actions after the submit button. Just select the X path. I have identified the X path for that. So please use this X path for fetching the customer ID. So we will cover the X path part in upcoming session. So meanwhile, you can use this X path as of now. Then select the text and get value. Please complete this one. You get the customer ID. Please add one action, that is a legacy action. Under legacy action, we have a generic element. So add the generic element. So after that, select the by X path, locate by X path, and locate value. Give the locate values here. Then select the element type is a text, and element action is a get value. So currently I am on this page. Okay. So when I run this action, the get fetch the customer ID actions, so I will get one row in the output value. There is a one tab that is a output. So under output, I am able to see the actual values. And so I want to store this value in some variable. The variable I have already created. So there is a one store to column. The store to column we are currently seeing is a none. So just select the variable. Those are the variable, global variable, data source. Click on the variable. Then you will be able to see all the variables. Those are the scope is the activity variable first, then business flow variable second, then third is global variable. So yeah,
Mhm.
so here I have copy pasted the one activity variable from the first activity. That's why I am saying this customer ID. The business flow variables we have already created two variables. So that's why we are seeing here the business flow password username and customer ID. Okay, so select the customer ID, ACT customer ID. So we can reuse this variable. You can check the variable values. So go to this variable. So currently I just selected, but I haven't assigned it. So when I rerun that activity, this value will get stored into this variable. So you can check the current value 075746. Then we will move for this another topic. So that is most important one. So as of now, I was giving you the XPaths. So how to build the XPaths. So that concept is very most important in this automation. If we don't know the how to build the XPaths, so we cannot automate the flows. So that is the main important part. So we can move on that topic.
Now I will be taking you through the XPath coverages. Okay, what we will be discussing as part of the XPath, because now currently I was checking that most of the time Joel was giving you the XPath, but we should be able to very well versed with the XPath. Okay, so what is an XPath? The question first starts like I will just document something for you, like what is basically an XPath. Okay, so XPath is nothing but basically it's an address. Okay. It is an address of a web element. Okay. On a web page. Yeah. So let's suppose you have an address of your own on your city. Okay. That your house is located at such locations at this longitude, at this latitude on the city. Similarly, for each web page, we have different web elements present on the web page. Okay, you open any HTML web page, there are different elements present. Some may be a click button, some may be a button, some may be a text box, some may labels, drop downs. These are the different web elements present on a web page. Okay, so if you are writing an address of a web element on a web page, that expression is called XPath. Okay, so we'll be discussing about what different types of XPath do we have. Okay, so one we have is like absolute XPath. Okay, the another one we call it as a relative XPath. So these are the two types of XPath we have. We can either go for absolute XPath or we can go for relative XPath. Clear? So first thing we need to understand that it is an address of a web element on a web page, and there are two types of XPath: absolute XPath and relative XPath. if we talk about this absolute XPath, this is nothing but starting from the slash. We called it as a root. Okay. So whenever we write an XPath which starts from a slash, single slash, that means we are passing the whole complete address. Okay. That means right from the scratch of a web page, we are writing the address of a particular element, traversing the whole element parent to child, child to parent, then parent, parent to child, and so on and so forth. Okay. So let me open one of the web page. Let's suppose I open any web page. Okay. Let me open a travel website called yatra.com or any other website you can open. Okay. You can see there is a HTML web content written over there in the background. Okay. You can see this is the HTML web page. So in this, you can see there is a HTML tag, there is a heading tag, there is a body, division. All these are the different web elements present on a web page. Okay. So these different elements have different addresses respect to the origin of the page. The origin always start from HTML. So we have to traverse right from the HTML to that particular element. That kind of XPath is known as absolute XPath. Okay. If you are starting from slash HTML, then head, then body, then division, and so on forth, that means it is an absolute XPath. However, we can write the relative XPath as well. Okay. So let's first try to write an absolute XPath. Okay. So what I will do, this is the developer option we can open. Either we can press command, control, shift and I. Okay. This will the shortcut, or you can right click and open the developer option using inspect. Okay. So this will be opened. And once this developer option is opened, you can press control F. Okay. If you are pressing control F, you are opening the search, the find string. Okay. And here, if I write slash HTML slash body, okay, you see the elements are getting highlighted. Okay. So here we started from the HTML tag, which is the base. Okay. The HTML as head and body as their childs. So I want to go to the second child, that is the body. So from HTML, I went to body. And then further, if I want to go to division, I will write slash div. So I went from HTML to body to division. Okay. If you are writing these kind of XPath, that means you are writing absolute XPath. Okay. These are the absolute XPath. I will write it an example over here, that these kind of XPath where you start from slash HTML slash body slash something, in that way, if you are traversing to a particular element, that means you are talking about absolute XPath. Okay. Clear? Moving forward, we have another type of XPath called relative XPath. Then what is relative XPath about? So relative XPath starts from the double slash. Okay. So if you put a double slash, that means you want to go to any tag name, not the HTML and body, which are the initial tag names. You directly want to jump to a particular tag name. Okay. And then you want to define several condition. Okay. So relative is little bit complex, but absolute is directly whether whatever element you want to go, just start randomly putting slash HTML slash body slash division until and unless you reach to your element. Okay. Let's suppose I want to go to this round trip. Okay. You can see this button round trip. I want to write then an XPath for this round trip. What I will do, I will keep on writing this slash HTML slash body slash division. Then apart from that, another division. So I will write slash div. Okay. So I reach there. Then inside the division, I have a section as a child. So I will write slash section, then slash division, then slash division. Okay. And then again a division. Okay. So I will write slash division, then slash section because it has another section inside that, and then slash division, and then slash division, slash division and slash division. So I reach till this point, and now I need to go till round trip this element, and I'm here. So I will again move forward ul, because ul is the next element, and then inside I have li, okay, and then slash lia. So you can see one of the result is one way, the another result is round trip. So I reach till this point. So this is the complete absolute x path of this round trip element. So I keep on writing slash HTML body and all so and so forth to reach this anchor tag. This is division, this anchor tag, to reach to finally my element. This XPath is absolute XPath. Okay. Now coming to the relative XPath. So in relative XPath, what I said, we can put double slash. Okay. Instead of a single slash, I'm putting a double slash and then the tag name. So what is a tag name? First of all, we need to understand that. So tag name is nothing but what is written in here in the purple color. That is the starting of the tag. It may be a meta, it may be a title, input, HTML head. All the initials of a web element are tag names. So for my case, it is an anchor tag. Okay, you can see this is an anchor tag A. The tag name is A for me, for which I want to find that. And here there are different attribute and name value pairs. So this is the attribute name href and its value. Another attribute name title and its value. Another attribute name like this and its value. So each element have several set or pairs of attribute name and value pair. You can see the one written in orange color. They are your attribute name, and each attribute name is having its own value. Okay, so what I will be doing this, when I'm talking about the relative expert, I will put a double slash, then I put a tag name, I will put a square bracket, I will write at the rate symbol, the attribute name. Let's suppose I want to use this attribute name value pair, the title and the round trip. So I will put at the rate title, sorry, at the rate title equal to round trip in the quotes, and I will close the square bracket. So you can see my element is highlighted. That means I have written a relative XPath. I'm not going from HTML head, body, and so forth to come to this anchor tag. I can directly jump to the anchor tag. Okay. Just a simple example I will explain you, that you are residing in a city A, let's suppose. Okay, and you telling your relative your address. So you will say, okay, once you enter the city you will find a church, then you will find a square, then you will find this and that, and then you find a motel, and after that my whole house is there. If you are explaining in this way the address, it is an absolute XPath, because you are telling them address from the starting of the city. However, if there is a famous cafe, or there is some famous church in front of your house, you can directly tell them, okay, in this city I have a famous church. In front of that my house is there. My house is in front of that church. Okay, so you are just giving a relative path of your house to them, that my house is relative to the church. My house is in front of that church. Okay, so that means you are putting a double slash, you are directly providing the tag name, and you are using any of the attribute name value pair in order to define the XPath, in order to define the address of a web element on a web page. Okay, so what I will do, I will copy this one as well, and I will put it as an example that this is the way we can write the relative XPath. Okay. So if we talk about the rule of writing a relative XPath, how the rule looks like, you can see how the rule looks like. You have to put a double slash, then you need to write a tag name. Now the tag name can be input, a, span, anything, division, okay, HTML, body, any tag name can be there. Then you need to put a at the rate symbol. Then you put the attribute name equal to that attribute value. So this value pair you will definitely find when you inspect that element, and you can write an XPath, a relative XPath with this formula. This is, you can say, a formula to write a relative XPath. Slash slash tag name, square bracket, @attribute name equal to, in quotes you can provide attribute value, square bracket close. So I've just started in the basic way, like what is absolute, what is relative. So if you get confused between the absolute and relative, like which one starts from the scratch. So the way I remember is absolute starts with the symbol A, and we have the A as alphabet, which is starting from our alphabet A B C D. So A starts with alphabet, so absolute means right from the scratch, from the root, /html/body. So if you see this kind of XPath, you can say it's starting from the scratch, means absolute. Okay. If it is about relative, we can see a double slash over there, and we can go for the tag name. Okay. The tag name the tag name can be input, okay, division, span, meta. These are all the different types of tag names. And the attribute names can be ID, name, value, href. All these are the different value pairs, attribute name value pairs. Clear? Okay. So what happens sometimes, you have, like suppose I want to write an XPath for this particular element, this li /li is nothing but our tag name. Okay. Then we put class, that is our attribute name, @class equal to desktop only. Perfect. Very good. What happens sometimes is like we don't have a attribute name value pair present. Okay. Let's suppose for one of the element, if I go here, let's suppose this one. Okay. This one has a class name, but I don't want to use the class name. I just want to use the text present over here. Okay. Whatever is the text present, this text is not attribute name value pair. Okay. This is different. Or you can go with this hotel section. Okay. You can see this span does not have any attribute name value pair. It doesn't have ID, name, class, nothing is there. It's just have a simple text over here. So how we'll write the XPath for this particular types of elements? Okay. Now let's see. So this is a tag name. Okay. So let's go to our rule book. Our rule book says you need to put a // and the tag name. What is the tag name? The tag name is a span. Okay. So we'll write span. We put a square bracket open. Okay. Now we don't have attribute name value pair. We don't have ID, name, class, nothing. So we can use text. Okay. We can use the method text. So it's a method. We need to put a parenthesis over here, and you need to put a equal to sign that this span tag name has a text. What is this text? Hotel. Okay. So if you try this XPath in this finder tool, okay, it's hotels, not hotel. You need to put the exact string. Okay, just a minute. Clear? So if you put the exact string as a text, you can use the text method as well. Clear? So either in the square brackets, you can have attribute name value pairs as well as the text directly. You can use the text method and pass the exact text. Now the text should be in case sensitive and the exact string. It should not be here and there. If you put a small h over here, it will not work. Okay. So it should be capital H like this, the exact string, what is there, the text string. Okay. And it's a method. So we have to put a parenthesis after text. We don't need to put @ symbol. People used to very frequently make this mistake while writing the XPath, that they use @symbol each time. @symbol is already only and only used if we pass it attribute name value pair. Okay. So now we got another rule. We have to write it, that we got a rule as // tag name. And if you don't have attribute name value pair, you can go with text equal to whatever is the text value. Okay. Text value can be anything, and you can square the bracket. You can see here, there is a text written over here in the bottom called DEL, which is the airport code of New Delhi. Okay. There is a white spaces over here in the text. Okay. So if I try to write an XPath using text for this particular element, this will not work because there are white spaces. Let's try to do that. Okay. So what is the tag name? The tag name is P. That is a paragraph tag name. So I will write slash slash P and then square bracket open text equal to, I will pass del, and as there are white spaces in the del, this will not work. Okay. But however, if I pass them, okay, the exact way it is passed there, this should work. Let me go to del, this one. Okay. So you can see there are lots of white spaces. If we don't double click on it, we are seeing only one white space before and after. But if you double click on it, you can see there are lots of white spaces. Okay. We should not put that much of white spaces. So in such cases, this XPath will not work, and therefore we have to use another method, okay, that is called contains. Okay. So the contains, I will just quickly write it and then I will tell you what is the actual syntax of writing the contains. Contains means if that particular element contains a some part of the string. So now you can see my XPath is working because it removes or it ignores the white spaces. It just checks if there is a D, E and L, that is in the caps, whatever I have written, and the text contains these letters. If it contains, then it's a valid XPath. So whenever you don't find an attribute name value pair, you have to go only with the text things, and you have white spaces as well. You can use contains. Okay. So we got another formula. We will write a rule for it. The rule is slash slash tag name. Okay. You have to put a square bracket open. You need to write the method contains, and the contains requires two arguments. Okay. So in the bracket parenthesis, I will provide the first argument. The first argument is the text, and the second argument with comma separated is the value of the text value, maybe any part of the string. So that we need to put in a in this apostrophe s, and then we need to close the parenthesis and close the square bracket. Okay. So if you see, if I cut this thing, you can see this is the same syntax. We are using text, same we are using a contains method, but inside the text method we don't pass any argument. In the contains we need to pass two arguments. One is the text method and its value. Okay. So I will also write this as an example over in front of it so that we can later on catch it up. Okay. So if there are white spaces in the text, you can use it like this as well. So what if I say slash slash tag name? Is this a valid XPath or this is not a valid XPath? It's a valid XPath. So if you pass it like slash slash input, tag name is the input. So all the text boxes, input is normally a text box. Okay. So all the text boxes on a web page will be highlighted, but it's a valid XPath resulting in multiple elements. The same way you search for a category, maybe a toys category on Amazon. So you got lots of brands. Okay. So if you selected a particular brand, then you will get the filtered result. The same thing, we are filtering our tag names, that we want to get only those tag names, only those span which contains the text hotels. We don't want to go for other spans. Okay. Just the widening our search or narrow down our search by providing several conditions. Okay. So there are more such rules, like the contains, we can use it with attribute name value pair as well. Okay. If you go over here and instead of passing the text and its value, we can pass the attribute name value pair as well. So always remember, you want to pass an attribute name, you have to use the @ symbol. Attribute name equal to, and in quotes you can pass attribute value. Okay. That means if your attribute, it's your attribute, contains a smaller part of the string or having a white spaces. Okay, so in that way we can pass, sorry, this should be comma separated. Always remember the two arguments inside the contains should be comma separated, should not be separated by equal to. Okay, here also it is comma separated. So either you can pass two arguments as text and text value, or you can pass the two argument as attribute name and attribute value. It depends on you. Okay, so let's suppose I will just show you one example. Okay, here this name is flight origin. Okay, there is a attribute name present, and its value is flight origin. Let's suppose the developer has made this flight origin is suffixes, I mean in the last, it provides the date. So if you open this on the date of 17th, that is today, the name value will be flight underscore origin underscore 17. Tomorrow, once you open this website, this name value changes to flight underscore origin underscore 18. Or day after tomorrow, flight origin 19. So how we will write an generic XPath using the regular expression, so that on any day of your month, either on 1st or on 30th or 20th, any day, this XPath should work with name equal to this. How you can write it? Using contains. Because you know that the flight origin string is common, only the underscore date is changing, right? So how we will write it? It's an input tag and the value is name. Okay, so we are getting slash slash input contains text comma flight origin. Okay, just a slight change over there, Romel. We need to not to put the flight origin string inside that. Okay, you got that. So we don't need to put in parentheses, but the value should be in only the strings. Yeah, correct, the latest one is the correct. Okay, so in that way we can write generic XPath, where maybe in when you will be start working on it, you will face such issues where you need to write an XPath which is a generic XPath and the value is changing. Okay, so always remember inside the contains we can pass either attribute name value pair, or we can pass the text and its value pair. Okay, cool. So let's move ahead. Okay, and okay, so one thing, what are the difference between absolute and relative, that we forgot, and which one we should use? Okay, that is also a big question, $1 million question. Absolute is faster than relative. Okay, although absolute is faster, but the time difference is very less, 0.000001 seconds. Okay, but we should always use relative XPath. Why? Because if you traverse from the slash, I mean root, then HTML body, if developer tomorrow adds a new division in between, okay, all your XPath will get vanish. Why? Because you are traversing by the other, parent to child, then parent to child, then parent to child. What if a parent got another parent implemented in between? What I'm saying is, if you are keep on writing the XPath from this root, that is the HTML, if there is a division added at the top, okay, let's suppose after this, let me minimize, let me zoom it out a little bit. So here we have a head, after that we have a body, and we have several division. Now due to this COVID, this website from traveling department, they have added a notification over here that due to COVID, you have to make some precautions and all. So they have added a division over here, and then your whole XPath will not work because you have started working on head, body, division, and so on and so forth. And that's why you will face issues. Okay. So that is not at all advisable to use the absolute XPath. Why? Because if any frame, any division added in between, okay, then you will face issues. Okay, and that is not at all advisable. So absolute are faster, and but relative are always used because we need to properly directly jump to the tag name, and then only we need to pass the attribute name value pairs. or the text value pairs or using the contains. Similarly, we have another method called starts with. Instead of contains, you can use starts with as well. That means if your value, attribute value or text value starts with a particular string, then you can use starts with as well. Contains means anywhere it can contain. But starts with mean you are specifically saying that my value should starts with. If I go with that, where I've exactly I've made the changes. Just a minute. Okay. So what I'm trying to say here is, let's suppose this one way thing. Okay. If we go here one way, okay, this one. So you can say there is a text one way written over here. Okay. I want, or that let's suppose this title. So this title is one way today. And if I change it, I can edit as an HTML. For now, I can do it on my local. So I have here 1, 2, 3 added. Okay. So I can use contains one way as well I can use starts with, because once I use starts with, it should be starts with ONE, O capital, then the also the same XPath will work. Okay, everyone is clear? So I will write it here that //a contain, first I will write contains, okay, and I will write @title, comma, ONE, okay, and I will close this. I will do this. You can see I got my element because it contains ONE1. If I remove this contains and put a starts with over here, this is also works because the title value starts with ONE. But if I write WAY, this doesn't result in any XPath because it starts with, and it doesn't starts with, it starts with ONE. That's why it's not working, but contains will work here. So you can say contains is a superset and starts is a subset. Starts with you, the value should start with that particular thing. Okay, now you can see my element is getting located. Why? Because way is there, it contains, but it doesn't starts with. Therefore, starts with was not working for me. Thank you. So these are all the different things, but these are the different rules of writing the XPath, the basic rules of absolute as well as the relative XPath. Okay, clear? So we will discuss more tomorrow regarding the XPath once you more practice on this. Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
So whatever we have done today, you need to revise it quite thoroughly. How we created the environments, how we created the agent environment configurations, then how we can add different actions, generic element actions, how to get the text value like we have done for the customer ID. Similar to that, how we can read the value from the screen. Okay, and store it inside the variables, the variable naming convention, the three folders, development, execution, and archive. What are their significance? Everything should be crystal clear to you, so that the complex things like the more dynamic and relative XPath as well as the flow control, retry mechanism, okay, error handlers, we will, if you have a base and plinth very much confident, we can build the good structures over it. Okay, so that is will be our next target from the next classes. So that is all for today, and we will meet next to tomorrow. Okay, then see you tomorrow. Have a nice day. Take care, guys.